Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Relax, I Got This. And today we're going to talk about a very important piece of the real estate transaction. When you're purchasing a home or if you're selling it, it is the inspection process. And this is a big piece of the real estate transaction. So stay tuned for Ken Duggan with Pillar to Post on Relax, I Got This.
A real estate transaction is potentially the largest investment we make in our lives. Whether you're buying and selling your personal home or investing in real estate, you need the knowledge to make the right decisions. Get ready. Robin is a Texas realtor and has the experience to give you the information you need to make the right decisions. Welcome to Relax, I Got This with your host, Robin McCoy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Relax, I Got This. I'm Robin McCoy, a Texas realtor, and today we're going to talk about the inspection process when you purchase a home. And I have Inspector Extraordinaire Ken Duggan with Pillar to Post here with me today. Hey, Ken.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, one of the most important parts of the transaction is the inspection. But most people, I don't think, understand what that is and how do I find a good inspector and what makes a good inspector, and all those things. So those are some of the things we're going to talk about today. And I just want to let everybody know that you did purchase that franchise in 2017. So what's that, 6 years ago now?
Yeah, actually, 7 years now.
7 years now. And he quickly rose to the top 25 franchisees out of 500 in the country, I guess. Yes?
Yeah, in Canada and U.S.
Okay, I can't say that. Canada and the United States, 500 franchisees, and you're in the top 25 in less than 10 years.
Yes, absolutely.
I say that's good. I think that's good. I think that's good. That sounds good to
we're
me.
very happy with that.
They have completed over 5,000 inspections. They have 3 inspectors on their team. They cover not only the general inspection on a house, they do pool inspections, they do infrared scanning, they do sewer scopes, WDI, which in Texas is very important with termites and carpenter ants and all those fun things that like to eat our house, as well as septic. So there's a lot going on there.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's kind of talk about the inspection itself, right? So I'm buying a house and my extra great realtor, Robin, tells me I need to get an inspection. What does that entail? What am I doing? I tell them as a realtor, it is the kind of the state of the union of the house at this point in time on this day.
Right. So is the condition of the property at that moment is what we're determining. What are we finding that is unsafe or is deficient that we create a report for during their option period to give them the information they need to make a good decision on the purchase of the home, the condition of it. So,
well, because we need to know what we're buying, right? I mean,
exactly.
We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. For most people, this is the largest single purchase they will ever make. And there can be some scary stuff in there.
Yeah, there could be. And, a lot of stuff is, not just looking around the house, but you find things that, up in the attic to, is the heating and cooling working right? There's a lot of different categories, features of a home that we have to go through and inspect. So
what do you do? So you're going to go in there and it takes 3 to 6 hours, depending on the size of the house and what all you've been tasked to do.
Yes.
But what are you doing during all those hours in that house?
Yeah. Well, it's that's why it takes a while to do an inspection because it's a very thorough inspection. So when we come there, we're going to inspect everything that's visible and accessible to the house, from the foundation, the heating and cooling, the electrical system, the plumbing. We check all the attached appliances, the doors, the windows up in the attic, on the roof. If it's a pier and beam, we're under the house. We take a lot of pictures and create a report. And that's why it takes that kind of time, because we want to make sure and do a very thorough inspection.
Well, and that's what I tell people too. I say, Ken is going to fill all the bathtubs. He's going to fill all the sinks. They're going to turn on the dishwasher. They're going to turn on the oven, and they're going to put just basically a lot of pressure on the house all at once and see how it does.
Yes.
And, and checking outlets, right? You're going to plug into all the outlets. You're going to turn on all the lights. You're going to climb on the roof. And like you said, climb under the house if you need to.
Right. Yes. So it's really a really nice system how we do it. We have an iPad that we walk around, take pictures with our iPad, and we're actually doing the report as we're doing the inspection. And so we can put in the comments and have the report ready when your client arrives, if they can attend the inspection, to give it to them at that time, and they don't have to wait for the inspection. And we report and we email it at the end, and also print the report on site.
Yes, so that's nice to have. It's nice that the client can sit with the inspector, ask all the questions they want, because most people don't understand when you talk about double lugs in the
Right.
in the electrical panel, or there's no knockouts in the electrical panel, or just trying to think of some of the other, random things that come up that, most people just don't know.
Right. That's why we like to put a lot of pictures in the report. And we ask that the buyer come at the last hour of the inspection, because we'll be done by then. And then they can, we'll show them the binder. This is actually the binder that they get. And we go through this binder. It's really nice. And we go page by page and explain to them, and they see the pictures. And then we walk them through the house and point things out and educate them. Not just show them what's wrong, but we tell them, hey, how to maintain their home, how to change the filter, a checklist that we give them to keep the home maintained. So yeah, it's a really nice process that we have.
So it's not just go in, okay, the you need a new roof and your panel's bad and this and that. There's far more to this,
right,
than going in and just trying to see what's wrong. Sometimes it's let's see what's right.
Yeah, right. And that's what we tell them too. We tell them, hey, look, the air conditioner is working properly, or whatever else is. So we tell them the whole report of everything, and have pictures to show them, hey, this is what was working at the time of inspection.
Yeah. So it's important to note that it is at the time of inspection. And most of these things, a lot of them are mechanical, right? An air conditioner can work today and tomorrow it can stop working.
Right.
We've got a lot of storms going through North Texas right now. That roof is fine today, but after this evening, when we get a lot of rain and potentially some hail tonight, that could change. So again, it is just that point in time of the condition of the home, so that you have a baseline that when you buy it, what is what.
Yes. So there's no warranty or guarantee of future performance,
right,
of items with an inspection report. So that's something that people need to understand, is that we like to tell you what we find at the time. So
yeah. So what are things that you can't inspect, right? It's like, why didn't the inspector see that wiring in the wall?
Right.
Because it's in the wall.
Right. It's in the wall. So what we cannot visually see, we cannot inspect. So there's a lot of, there could be items that we don't find that, are deficient in the home at that time because of limitations. There's various reasons why. It could be something, a defect in the wall, like you said, or personal items in the way.
I think that's important to note, right?
Yes.
So an inspector is not allowed to move personal items. So if the seller has left a gun safe in front of the electrical panel that cannot, Ken is not allowed to move, not that he could move a gun safe by himself anyway, but everything needs to be accessible. If everything in the attic if your attic as a seller or a homeowner is just full of stuff, He can't get in there to go look and see how much insulation is there, if there's any, if things are venting to the wrong place or any of that. So as a seller, how can a seller prepare for their buyer's inspection? Is this the year that you're going to stop paying rent? Is this the year that you are going to finally purchase your own home? But where do you start? How do you get your questions answered? Well, I'm Robin McCoy, and I'm a Texas realtor with Keller Williams. Relax, I got this. I have a home buyer's masterclass the first Saturday of every month, and it's free to you, and it's all online. Just text the word masterclass to 214-226-3770, and we'll get you registered and on the path to home ownership. How can a seller prepare for their buyer's inspection?
Yes, that's kind of what we're expecting, is to educate the seller or the agent or whoever needs to let them know. We even actually have a checklist that we offer agents to put in the binder as a get your house ready for an inspection. And one of those checklists is to make sure everything is accessible for the inspector to do. So I like passing that around. It helps a lot because, we don't like to not do a full inspection when we're there. And
Right.
It's really important that we do. So every little bit, that can be done to prepare for it makes that much more of a thorough inspection.
Well, and so as a seller, so let's say I'm a seller and I left just, it's not heavy. It's just some boxes in front of my electrical panel in the garage. And since you're not allowed to move them, and now the buyer wants and should have that electrical panel inspected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now there's if I'm going to have you come out as a buyer again, then there's a revisit fee. And who pays that? Does the seller pay that, or does the buyer pay that, or does an agent pay that? And so, not that you're going to answer that question,
right?
But that's the question that is going to come up. And that's why, as a seller, you need to make room for Ken to come in and do what he needs to do so it can just get done.
Yeah. It saves a lot of time. It helps avoid delays because there's usually option period is pretty short. So
yes,
it causes a lot of, potential issues.
It's anxiety, right? All of a sudden the buyer's like, why can't I get that panel inspected? It's just 3 boxes. Well, the inspector's not allowed to touch personal property in that way. Well, I need to have them out there. Okay, that's I'm making up a number, $200. And well, I'm not paying that. The seller should pay that. So it becomes this negotiation and it can cause some anxiety. So if you're a seller, make sure all things are accessible. Electrical panels, the attic stairs, or the pull down.
Mm-hmm.
What else sometimes that is inaccessible?
That's most of the panel, the attic access. But there's things like you're just not going to be able to inspect like some windows because the sofa's there. That's not required to be moved. That stuff. It's just usually mostly the panel and the sometimes the water heater's got so much stuff.
Oh, that's true. In the garage, you can
get to. Oh yeah. So, but another thing I like to point out, especially if it's a vacant house, is make sure all the utilities are on when we get there. So that's the responsibility of the seller still, even if they're not living there, to have even the gas. So there's a lot of times we go out and something is turned off, and the listing agent doesn't even know.
Right.
So that can cause an issue because we do not turn on utilities either. So.
No.
That's something to be aware of.
So the idea in this piece of this conversation is just know what your inspector can and can't do, and make sure if you're the seller, make sure your house is prepared for an inspection, because that's part of the deal. It's part of the transaction. It's part of all the things. And if you want to get through this first part of that transaction, let's make sure the buyer can get a good, solid inspection.
Right.
So tell me what infrared scanning is.
Okay.
Why is that a big deal?
Yep. It's a handheld camera that we use to go around the house and detect differences in temperature. So
Okay.
we have 3 different packages we offer. And the middle package is we have a plus, a premium, and a prestige. The premium and the prestige are added infrared. And about 60% of people upgrade to that. It's a few $100s more, but there's a lot more than just infrared you get with it. But infrared is a really nice source to see things that we can't see with our eyes that might be in the walls.
So there goes back to that. There's something in the wall, but we can't see it because we can't poke
right.
holes in
So,
walls.
right.
But we have this methodology or this tool that we
Yes.
can use.
Right. It can detect like potential a leak in the wall. I've seen that doesn't have a stain yet. I just did a 3-year-old house that inside an interior wall, there was a big difference. There was a little streak in the wall that was different color than the rest of the wall. I'm like, took my moisture meter and beep, 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 there it was, a leak. And I'm like, wow, I would have never seen that without infrared.
Yeah.
So, and then it also can detect differences in temperature from missing insulation. A lot of new builds, you'd believe it or not, have missing insulation between the studs, and you never know that otherwise. There's overheating electrical circuits that you can't really see with, and that can help detect that too. So it's a really useful tool in the home inspection part.
Yeah. And I just want to point out one thing you just said too. You've done some new construction. People think, well, it's a brand new house and they're building it. Shouldn't everything be fine? Why should I spend more and get it inspected?
Right. Yeah. So you just don't know who's building the house, who they've hired, how fast they're putting it together, what shortcuts they've taken. And so it's always good to know, hey, what did they do wrong by a non-biased professional home inspector that can come out and tell you have a lot more power to get these things fixed from the builder when you have my report in hand. And sometimes you find very little stuff, and sometimes there's a whole bunch of stuff. But it's
I've seen
mind.
both.
Oh,
it's peace of mind, and we have this assumption that because something is new, it should have no problems.
Right.
Well, ideally, everything's probably going to have some sort of problem. Ideally, it has fewer than a 60-year-old house.
Mm-hmm.
And yet sometimes there can be some pretty significant issues in new construction. So I bring that up to make sure that go ahead and spend the extra few $100s to hire Ken and his team, even when it's a brand new construction.
Right.
It's protecting yourself. It's protecting your asset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of things like an oven could be out of calibration. All they do is come and install it. They don't test it. But what if it's not reading right? It goes on and on. So, but
it's worth
it's very important. About 20% of our inspections are new builds.
Really, that many?
That many.
Well, we got a lot of new build going on.
They're everywhere.
Got a lot of that going on right now. So you also do sewer scopes. Now, why on earth do I need you to look in my sewer?
Right. Well,
sounds a little personal.
I know. But, there's a big demand for that. And we added it to our services. It's optional. It's not required to do it with a home inspection, but we offer a lot of additional optional things that Robin mentioned. And the sewer scope is a really nice feature. It's like $250 we charge, but plumbers charge more than that. Plus you get it done at the time of inspection. And what we're looking for, we run a camera down the sewer line through a clean out that should be accessible. And we run a video camera down there and see if there's any issues. I mean, who knows even if it's a brand new house, a lot of construction could be down there. If it's an older house, are the roots growing in there? Are there, clogs? Is there, offset pipes? There's a lot of things. We saw one with a stake went through it from hammering down a tree. A stake went right through the sewer line when they installed a tree.
Wow. So either that stake was really long or that sewer line was really not buried deeply enough.
Yeah, it was. My inspector sent me a picture of that. I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
So
again, these things, they feel like they add up. And when you're buying a house, it feels like you're just hemorrhaging money because you've got down payments and then you've got inspections and you've got appraisals. And then do I want to add $250 to look at the sewer? And do I want to add $200, $300 and get an infrared? And everybody wants all my money. Well, but it's true. It is expensive. And yet it's less expensive than a whole new sewer line 3 years from now.
Yeah. Could
Because
be
now
over
you've backed up.
$10,000 for a new sewer line.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep things in perspective.
Right.
So, what are some of the things that a homeowner, now you as an inspector, you just say this is working as designed or as it should be, or it's not, it's deficient in some way. So you're not showing a preference, or it's not even an opinion. It's the oven works and is calibrated properly, or it isn't. The cooling system is cooling as it should, or it isn't.
Right.
So I guess my question is, how do you, when I'm a new home buyer and I'm first time buyer and I'm like, well, what should I do, Ken? The water heater is too hot, or the oven doesn't count. What should I do?
Be the leader you know you can be. Build your professional network and access education that takes you where you want to go. We are women of all ages and backgrounds. You deserve national recognition and opportunities to build relationships with people you want to work and grow with. Hit the ground running with the Charisma chapter of the American Business Women's Association. Meetings each month from 6 to 8:30 p.m. on the fourth Tuesday in Farmers Branch, Texas, and online. Come with us. Experience ABWA for yourself. Go to charisma.abwa.org to learn more.
Well, what should I do, Ken? The water heater is too hot, or the oven doesn't count. What should I do?
Right. So that's a really great question. So we're here to give you the information and recommendations of what to do with this. So really a recommendation is, because we're just a home inspector. So if we see an electrical problem, we recommend an electrician come out, further evaluate, and repair it as needed. Now, it's optional. You can do, when we give you this report, you can do whatever you want with it. It's nothing that you have to do. It's something that you can do, and your agent, when Robin will sit down with you and go over this report and help you decide what's the best steps for guidance. But it's up to you ultimately to say, this is what I want. Oh, this is fine. But I'm just, that's pretty much how it works. So you can.
So you're data collection. That's all you are. You're a data collection. Yep. Here's the data.
Here's the information.
It's up to you to do with it what you will.
Do with it. Unless there's a big safety concern, like a gas leak or something like that, then that's when we say, because I'm only allowed to give this information to the person who signed the agreement, and with the approval of them to give it to their agent. So I don't give this information to anybody else. So unless we see like a gas leak or something dangerous with somebody there, then we'll okay, we need to tell everybody this needs to be fixed because it's a very serious problem.
I mean, when there's a life or death kind of a thing, and you know what, vacant houses can get gas leaks and nobody knows. Nobody knows. And you walk in and I've been in them. You walk in and you smell, or you open a closet and you just smell this gas because it hasn't been venting properly. So it doesn't mean that there's necessarily anything bad. It's just is.
Right.
And somebody needs to know that can take care of that. So let me ask you, you do all the things, right? And again, we talk about termites and WDI, which means wood destroying insects for those that don't know. A lot of insects in Texas eat houses, and termites and carpenter ants are the two that come to mind. So you look for and if you've got a government loan, an FHA or VA loan, that's going to be required. You're going to have a termite inspection. And I recommend everybody get one so that you know what the status is on the WDIs in that house.
Yes. So a termite, it's another report separate from the inspection report. Yes. It requires additional training and licensing to be done. Not every inspector does offer it. They just do it to a third party, pest company, but we actually do it. So it's really convenient to not have to bring more different people in to do what we can do right then.
Right.
And
It's all about scheduling, man. You got
yes,
3 to 5
that's
days to
great.
get all these people
We
in.
do it all. So you don't have to worry about getting other people coming in. But the WDI report, especially like you mentioned, VA loan, it has to be done. If it's a conventional or any other kind of loan, it's optional. But it's about $135. But really nice, what we're looking for is conducive conditions, active infestation of any kind of insect that would destroy wood. Like you mentioned, carpenter ants, mostly, especially termites. There's beetles that can do it, that kind of thing. But when you do a VA, you have to have a clear report on the termite report, meaning there can't be any conducive conditions. So it's important to know that if there's a lot of wood rot around the house, that's a conducive condition. If there's excessive moisture, overgrown vegetation, it goes on, inadequate ventilation. There's a lot of choices to check a box.
Yeah.
And then you have to have that cleared for another report to be done. You have to fix that stuff to be able to get approved for that loan.
Yeah.
So
lots of pieces that go into all the things when when we say let's get an inspection, there's a lot of different pieces to this inspection that everybody needs to, buyers and sellers alike, right? If you're a seller and you've got the trees are touching your roof, first of all, you should cut those off anyway because it's damaging your roof. But secondarily, there are loans that will require that come off of there. So you want to get the roof cleared of all, just those branches that hang and hit, or the shrubs or the vines growing on the wall that you think are so cute. Well, they're tearing up your house and inviting, bugs.
yes. Yep.
So what would you recommend? What is one thing that maybe we didn't talk about, or one point you want to get across when it comes to not only having a home inspection on the house, but choosing your home inspector? How do I know?
Yeah. So, you want to, of course, you want to choose the best home inspector that's proven record and knows what they're doing. And so, and how to communicate the report to you very simply, and not alarming, but give you the right information that you need. So I train all my inspectors for many months before I let them on their own, how to communicate and give you the best inspection right away to make you a good informed decision on what you want to do with the purchase of the home. So that's why we stand out on, being one of the best home inspection companies out there. So.
Well, and that's it. I think that, kind of wraps it up. You want somebody. Years ago, I was on the seller side, and I got the inspection report that this inspector had given this first-time home buyer, and all the deficiencies were in red. Well, red's an alarming color,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an older condo building in Oak Lawn, so there's all kinds of things that are fine, but you have to tag as deficient just because of codes or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Many things were HOA related, many things. So there were lots of stuff, but it scared the buyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It scared the buyer into terminating that contract because in her mind, with all that red,
right,
the place was gonna, implode in a minute.
Right. I can understand that. We don't do anything like that. It's all black writing, north and red. Because
it is like I said before, all you guys are doing is just collecting the data that says, here's your AC unit. It's appears to be X number of years old. The filter's dirty. Recommend changing that because they're always dirty. And, and there's a thing called differentials, right? So the temperature going in needs to be within a certain temperature of it coming back out. And if those are off, that's all you're telling them. The differentials are off and it needs to be serviced. It probably just needs to be cleaned out,
right.
So I just think it's important. And that's one of the things that what I like about the way you do business is everything is just it's black and white. It is what it is. And it's up to you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Talk with your agent, talk with Robin, and decide what's important to you if you are to move forward with this house.
Right. And we put it in very simple terms. It's very easy to understand the report. We don't have a lot of high-tech 50-page reports like a lot of people do. It's half that. And so it's the way that we present it makes it, oh, okay, I get it. Because a lot of this stuff is very small issues mostly.
Yeah.
And so that's something that everybody needs to understand. It's very low cost repairs. Most of the report is.
Yeah. Most of the time it's little things like differentials on the AC or the furnace.
Caulk the windows around.
Caulk the windows, weather strip the doors.
Stuff like
There's
that.
a drippy faucet.
The door's not opening right, or it
Yeah.
needs to be realigned,
Yeah. So there's most of the things, but I will point out, and I didn't mention this before, you are licensed by the state of Texas, just like I am licensed by the state of Texas. And so there are certain things that you have to call out, even though it is just, something so simple that like the oven calibrating, it's 2 degrees off, but it's still 2 degrees off.
Yeah.
So
you
are required to, just like I'm required to disclose certain things and say things or not say things, as are you.
Right. So it's a lot of safety issues, potential safety issues, like a sidewalk is uneven. It's a trip hazard.
Yes.
The garage door entry from the garage to the inside of the house, the attached garage, has to be an automatic closing door, has to close automatically with spring hinges. That's a new.
Really?
I don't know if you even knew that yet, but
I did not. Mine does not do that.
That would be a call out. Even though that door closes on it manually and locks fine, the reason you want it to automatically close is because if you leave a car running in the garage and the door open, the gas fumes come in. That's why new builds now are
interesting. Okay.
Yep.
See, we've all learned something here today. Go home and check that garage door coming into the house. Make sure it's closing automatically.
Right.
So, all right, Ken. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love talking to you because you just are very, very succinct and matter of fact about what you do. You're very good at what you do.
Thank you.
And you train I have to say, when you were growing and all of a sudden I didn't have Ken in my buyer's house. I had somebody else. I'm like, well, where's Ken? But you do an amazing job at training all of your people, and you get out to the house quickly and get the job done. So
exactly.
I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do and how you serve our buyers.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Robin.
All right, folks. Well, there it is. That's the inspection process. And I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Relax, I Got This. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or need Ken's information, obviously all that will be in the show notes for you. So we will see you next time on Relax, I Got This.
Thanks for joining us for Relax, I Got This with Texas Realtor Robin McCoy. Check out all the show notes for contact information on Robin and our guests and to access your free buyer and seller guides. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a conversation. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Relax, I Got This with Robin McCoy.